Raj?
भारत भाग्य विधाता
पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा
द्राविड उत्कल बंगा
विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा
उच्छल जलधि तरंग
तव शुभ नाम जागे तब शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा
जन गण
जय हे जय
A warm welcome to everybody. Today we have amongst us Dr. Jyoti Dabolkar, who is going to guide us on lifestyle diseases and its prevention. So friends, before that, a little announcement from my side. We are having the district is having an inter-club debate where the clubs are going to be debating amongst each other, and we are going to be forming a team from Bayview. So whoever is interested, please do get in touch with Tia or myself because we need to be forming this team ASAP. And one more thing, I've already put up the concept note in my Saturday emails. I hope everybody has gone through it. And yeah, so I'll be again putting it up tomorrow. So please go through it and let us know if you guys want to be a part of it. So now can I invite Rupali to please introduce Dr. Dabulkar?
Sure. Thank you, President. Actually, it's very difficult to speak about Dr. Jyoti Dabulkar's 12-page biodata in so short time. But however, I will try to highlight her achievements and my personal thoughts about her tall stature. She's primarily a ENT and head and neck oncosurgeon trained at Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital, USA, after finishing her master's in MBBS. After finishing her master's in surgery. She has been a topper all throughout her medical career and has been awarded President's Medal for securing first rank in MBBS. She decided to serve poor and needy and also teach at the medical college. She got selected on the academic panel at Nair Hospital and finally as chairperson of the department at KEM and presently Professor Emeritus for Life at KEM. She was secretary and president of FHNO, that's Foundation for Head and Neck Oncosurgery, a national body of oncosurgeon. She is a chief editor and founder of Journal for Head and Neck Physicians and Surgeons, a very reputed journal. She has more than 130 peer-reviewed papers published in national and international journals of repute. She was the ENT surgeon to Governor of Maharashtra for 10 years. She has many laurels to her credit like Women Achievers Award by Cancer Patients Association and also has been honored by Vice President of India, Mr. Hamid Ansari, for her work in the field of cancer. She has also been the recipient of Dhanvantri Award. She taught for 37 years and trained best of doctors for the country. She has delivered more than 80 orations in India and abroad at different conferences. She was also invited to operate by Italy, Singapore, and Bangladesh. She is very passionate about health and fitness, and trust me when I say this, I must say she doesn't look her age. She also does scientific technique meditation. She has been involved with many Rotary projects and given lectures in many Rotary meetings. She is married to an engineer businessman and has a very handsome and smart son. Above all her laurels, she is a wonderful human being and a very great soul. She is spiritually elevated and ever ready to serve the underprivileged. I must say, a very hard-working woman. May God bless her and may happiness be always hers. Over to Dr. Jyoti Dabholkar.
Thank you, Rupali, for those kind words. I really feel my day is done. So,
This is not enough. I can go on and on.
not really. I think I'm blessed because my father was a school principal and he always had a different, he always had a different views about how to succeed at life or what is the success in life. Money never lured him also. So probably that credit goes to my father. So probably. So fine. So let's see. See, basically we all are educated, running our businesses and life so well. So personally, now this is not moving. Raj? So, you must be reading in the newspapers that lifestyle disease or a poor lifestyle will claim 388 million people in 10 years from now. And if you ask me 100 years back, what was the commonest cause people died of? It was infection, because antibiotics were not available or they were not produced or researched, and people died of infection. TB is one of them, which is still killing people. So what I'm saying is that, but in last 50 years, when everything improved, technology, income, and gadgets, and all the comforts of life, the lifestyle became poor. Nobody works in field, nobody walks, nobody does exercise. Everybody has a stress with a poor lifestyle, and that is killing. So today, if you ask me, number two killer is a lifestyle, and that's why the importance of this topic to be discussed. So now, before we go into the disease and its prevention, let's decide what is disease. Now, a disease is basically a condition of the body or a part in which functions are deranged. So suppose if my ankle is not working and if it is giving me a problem, I'm diseased. But basically, we normally are blessed with majority of time with a good health. So saying a disease means like, your mind starts wandering in a little different direction. And what is health? So WHO defines health as a physical and mental. When we were MBBS students, we were called only physical and mental well-being of the patient or a person. But now there are three more added. So physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and social well-being of the person, and not merely absence of disease. Means if you say, I don't have any diseases, so I'm well, my well-being is good. It is not so. There has to be a physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, and social well-being, and that is called healthy. So don't just think that I don't have diabetes means I'm all right. You have to introspect your lifestyle basically. And when I say holistic approach to lifestyle diseases, what is holistic? See, when a doctor treats superficially, he's treating the person, but he's not holistically treating. So a holistically treatment is that, a root cause of that problem should be also tackled. Generally, it could be mind or mind-body connection, and basically that should be attended. Like suppose if somebody has a stress because of the family problems and he has an acidity and you give him only acidity treatment, he will be probably partially okay as long as he takes the medicine, but his acidity won't go if he stops. But a good doctor finds out why he has acidity, what is the cause, and treats the cause. And that way to treat is called holistic. Means you have go back to the cause and then treat it. Now finally coming to the lifestyle, because we use this word very commonly, my lifestyle or your lifestyle. So what is a lifestyle? Basically lifestyle is finding one's meaning in life. You should have a very clear purpose why you are given this life and what are you going to do with this life. Many people are aimlessly progressing in life, but they don't know what is the real meaning to them about life. Balance of everything, like, balance of health and income, or balance in your relationship. Balance is a cause. I would put it medically that a sympathetic and parasympathetic system should be balanced. If you have that, probably you will win the lifestyle. And health. If you don't have a health, probably you will not have a life which is well lived. So basically a lifestyle is all about finding one's balance, meaning and health in your life. And the ideal lifestyle is the one where there is an understanding of the world, mind-body connection. If you know how your mind works and how your mind affects your body, probably you will win this game of lifestyle disease. So I will just enumerate the diseases now. So with this background, we'll go forward. Now, what are these diseases which can be caused by the lifestyle? Number one killer is type 2 diabetes. And you know that lately for last 15-20 years, you must be hearing even as young as 40 to have a diabetes, which is a lifestyle disease. Asthma. Now you can say asthma is because of the allergy. Yes, it is because of the allergy, but if you don't have a good immunity, you are going to be affected by asthma. Heart disease and hypertension. Again, a lifestyle. If your diet is not proper and if you're exercising very little, probably you will end up in a hypertension and heart disease. Headaches, GERD. GERD is a gastroesophageal reflux disease. Like, you have got a burping, you have got an acidity, you have a burning throat. All these are because of the stress. Arthritis, again, autoimmune disorders. Autoimmune disorders are must define here. Normally your immune system is your friend, but when your immune system gives up, like I can't handle you anymore, you develop autoimmune disorder. Now autoimmune disorder is where your own immune system attacks your own body cells. Please understand this definition. And once you develop one autoimmune disease, you can have a series of autoimmune disease. And that's why your immune system should be your friend and not foe. Your immune system should be your real good friend so that it can protect. Now in Corona, people who are winning the battles are the one who has got a good lifestyle and good immune system. Because, if your immune system is bad, probably you are going to be a victim of severe complication of this disease also, which we have been discussing every day. Cancer is the last spectrum of this disorder. You can say cancer is caused by the lifestyle. Yes. 10% of the cancer are genetically transmitted. Means if your forefather had a cancer, probably you're likely to get a cancer. But otherwise, it is lifestyle disorder. And also you can alter those genes which you have inherited by your forefathers who had a cancer, so that you can modify them by correcting your lifestyle. And hypothyroidism, everybody, second person on the earth, you will hear, I have a thyroid. That is generally a hypothyroid. And basically that is also one of the autoimmune disorder, where your thyroid cells are attacked by your own body cells, or your own immune system. So, you can imagine that it is such a complicated circle of disease, which are all caused 90% of time because of our own lifestyle. Now, I will give you a little background of an Ayurvedic basis of this. Now, you must have heard about Prakriti, my nature or my Prakriti is like this. Now, that Prakriti is basically Vat, Pitta and Kapha. Now, these are the three major Prakritis in Ayurveda, and that decides your nature, your Prakriti, your symptoms, the way you behave, the way you think. Now, I'll give you an example of a Pitta Prakriti. The Pitta Prakriti person will be having more acid in his body, so he will have acidity, headaches, he can snap at others, he may not be comfortable, he can argue out very fast, get angry very fast, because that acid in the stomach is not allowing him to behave or to be normal person. A person of a gas will have they are very cool, but they have a lot of body weight and arthritic problems. That is also not good. And a Kapha Prakriti person basically go into the group of allergy and asthma. So this basis also you have to remember, and you should know which is your main Prakriti. and then bring a balance about these three prakriti. So suppose if you are an acidity person, you have to have activity of mind, diet and everything to counteract that acid and nullify it and bring the balance about the three prakritis. So when I say balance in life, balance in these three prakritis is of utmost important. If your body has a balance among these three prakritis, you are going to be in the pink of your health. You can say that confidently. Now coming to the stress, basically all this is basically related to stress. Now when you say stress, it is a body's non-specific response to any demand made on it is called stress. Now if stress was required, stress was meant because otherwise you will not get up in the morning. If you did not have a stress to go to work, you will not get up in the morning. So, but that is called eustress, a normal stress required for you to function and to carry on with your life. And in other words, stress enables the body to resist any stressor in the best possible way. So basically, stress is required to make the action. But when the degree of this stress is more or less, that is where we'll end up in a problem. So this is the graph to show that this is a critical point. So if you are eustress, you will develop that stress, you will function, your health and performance will be the best, and then you distress. You know, you will at one point of time when your body or your requirement is gone, you distress. But when this stress continues in a fashion from the critical point, that is where it is abnormal. Now where this stress comes from? So anything which threatens, scares, worries, prods and thrills us causes stress. Now when I use word thrill, it is discotheques, loud parties, drinking, late nights, all these also comes under this stress. And you will agree with me that next morning you are groggy, you cannot get up, you cannot feel normal, your body is not with you, and you would like that, you know, you want to sleep more or you don't want to go to work. It is because your body is handling that whatever damage has been done through the stress. So stress basically is a stimulus for action, as I mentioned. Now this is a chart little busy, but you can see that if you are in an optimum stress level, your feeling will be, I'm experiencing support from my others. I feel good about myself. I feel good about what is happening around me each day. I'm accepting the change, whatever change comes to my life, and I handle today's demands well. So optimally stressed person will have these kinds of sentences coming out or thinking about it. On the other side, excessive stress will be like, you know, too many personal changes are happening. I cannot handle anymore. I cannot, too many demands on me causing crisis experiences. And on the other side, insufficient stressors will have, you are depressed basically. You have no purpose in life. And even it can go to the level of even depend on the artificial substances to keep you stimulated. And now how does the body basically adapts to this stress? So how does the body deals with this stress? So that is basically it adapts, gets frustrated, there will be overload or there will be deprivation. So any of these mechanism will be used to deal with that stress. We'll go in a little bit detail. And if I say a positive manner in which a stress is dealt with, probably you'll go to sleep, a very deep sleep. You'll go and walk, exercise. You will relax by doing a meditation. You can talk to someone out heart to heart whom you trust, or you share with someone very close to you. The other very scientific way to deal with this thing is go and do a yoga session, or you meditate deeply if you know how to meditate. Now, these are very positive way of handling the stress and good way of handling stress. And majority of you must be using one of these mechanisms to deal with your stress, whatever life brings in your life. Now, what are the negative way you deal with the stress? And basically it is escapism, like you escape from the stress thoughts by going into the alcohols, by taking drugs, or even the extreme of this could be a suicide. And we all saw Sushant Singh Rajput's life. A very bubbly man went into drugs probably, and committed a suicide. Whatever may be the thing, he could not handle himself. Now we mentioned about the yoga, so I just took this slide because a lot of people have a very wrong conception or not a clear conception about yoga. Basically, yoga is, in a true sense, is a union. The yoga means union. Now, this union can be body and mind, and then above that is the soul. So, a soul of the man unites with the spirit is also a union described as a yoga. Or a Patanjali's definition is cessation of all modification of mind stuff is yoga itself. So, basically, yoga's eventual aim is not just asanas, but to be able to rise above the body and mind, and then you go at a super conscious level where there is a cessation of mind stuff, and that is a real relaxation. So yoga, as Patanjali described, has a eightfold path: yama, niyama, asana, and pranayama. These are the first four. I will not go into the detail of each one, but yama, niyama is very important. And basically, if you don't have any of these in your life, probably you will never be at peace. Non-covetousness, non-violence. You hurt someone and you come home and you crave about or you think about it. But if your nature is not to hurt someone, you are basically non-violent. You are always truthful. You are your nature is not that, you will capture somebody illegally. You are self-disciplined person. If you have purity of body and you have contentment, probably yama niyama is taken care of. Nobody is perfect. Everybody has to work at it. Asana, which you all must be doing a yoga asanas, which you go to the class or you do online, is basically for the posture and flexibility of the body, which is very important to achieve anything. A good health is basically a very flexible body, a non-tiring body, which can cooperate through the day with whatever you want to achieve. So asana siddhi is an extremely important thing in meditation and in life per se. Now pranayama, basically control of life force. Now this is what is mostly lacking in today's world, because if you just quickly see, we breathe about 14 times in a minute, which is called our respiratory rate. Now that breathing is very shallow breathing. That means we take less oxygen in our body, or prana, which runs our body. And because we are stressed, we are bad postured, or we forget to breathe deeply. When you are very stressed, you take 10 deep breaths. When you take one sigh and you feel so good, that is a deep breathing you did. So basically, pranayama teaches you to breathe deeply. And that is why yoga session will never be over without you do pranayama session. And that pranayama should be practiced 4 to 5 times, especially when you are stressed or you are in the middle of the activity, and see how your body is refreshed because you took that oxygen extra. Now for me, who is on a path of meditation for 42, 43 years, this pranayama has a different connotation. My connotation is that I should be able to disconnect my body and mind from this world, and I should be able to dive into super conscious. So that pranayama technique called Raj Yoga, if you go deeper into all this, the Raj Yoga will teach you. Raj Yoga, my guru is Paramahamsa Yogananda, and we have a technique which Krishna gave it to Arjuna. So that technique is taught to us to meditate called Kriya. If you have read a book called Autobiography of a Yogi, you will know about this. So pranayama in a deeper meaning is much more you achieve super consciously if you practice this. That is what I'm trying to bring to you. Pranayama in a milder form will give you a lot of health, oxygen, energy, well-being, everything. And pranayama is the same technique. Deep pranayama is the same technique by which you can go higher in your meditation techniques. Now last 4 are pratyahara, dharana, dhyana and samadhi are basically for meditators, that you withdraw from the senses, you concentrate on your mind, body and soul level, you go and actually do meditation, which is meditation only on God, and then you achieve samadhi. So these are the latter 4. So I would say for a beginner, if you concentrate on these 4 issues, that you are basically a peaceful person, your dealings are nice, healthy, you don't cheat, you have clear conscious, you do your yoga asanas, and you do deep breathing exercises, pranayama, you will be by and large quite healthy in your life. So I just wanted to say that. Now, basically, prana is everything in life, and that's why I have put this, that if your breathing is perfect, slowly and deeply, then you really develop an inner calmness or breathlessness. Now, whenever you are stressed, the stressor, suppose if you have financial problem, you have a family problem, those problems will not go away overnight. That everybody knows. But if you can just escape, which I said escape, by doing pranayama and breathe deeply and get that calmness, probably your body will not be affected with that wrong effects or bad effects of that stress which you have in your life. It will go at the right time, you will have to take actions. But if you're dealing with it correctly by deep breathing and doing pranayama, I think probably you will not be affected by that stress in some kind of a disease in your body. Now, I'll just explain this technique and then we go to the lifestyle. That, whenever you are stressed, whenever you are very tired, whenever you are having a bad day, if you just practice this technique, probably you will bless me that yes, it has given me a lot of relaxation and I feel better. And basically it is tense with will and relax and feel. It means that you have to tense the whole body. If you can remember the part from toe to head, while you are tensing, it is excellent. So that you know that no body part is left behind. So toe, feet, calf, thighs, abdomen, hands, chest, neck and head. Like that you remember and tense in a gradual manner till your body is like vibrates. Energy is vibrating your body. And then hold as long as you can hold. And then you relax completely in the reverse fashion. And then you feel that what soothing current or vitality it gives your body. So at the end of your exercise, at the end of the day, at the end of your yoga posture, if you practice this, you will really can take away a lot of your body tensions and feel energetic. If anybody wants to know more about this, we can discuss little later. But remember, tense with will and relax and feel. These 2 words, if you know, you will be able to practice yourself. Now, what are the steps one has to take for a holistic living to prevent all the lifestyle diseases which we just enumerated one by one, what causes it, and how the body prakriti, also imbalance in body prakriti also causes this. And as it is said, half the diseases are created by our own self, So nutritious diet and timing of the food, which is the first point which you must correct. Second is prana and breathing. I already highlighted enough. That is the backbone of a good health and you have to practice. There is no way about it. A right posture and exercise. Sunshine, very important. A lot of people do sun yoga or Surya yoga. There's a branch where they only worship sun and do yoga with sun. Sleep and massage. Now, you can say, is this important? Yeah, of course. The sleep, 8 hours deep sleep is a repair. Your body repairs your functions which are deranged. So sleep and massage. Massage, because everybody has a stress and body muscles will have tension. So massage helps to remove that tension. Secular meditation. I cannot highlight enough how secular meditation helps. We'll go each point very much in detail. And social skill. Very important to socially bond. You all are great at that. All Rotarians do that. And you know that how good it is or how nicely it helps in your life and makes you happy also. So social bonding and social skills are very important for a holistic living. Now, nutritious food. Now, everybody of you are educated. You know what is to be avoided. Processed foods, red meat, heavily fried food, excessive tea and coffee, and maida, milk and milk products in sugar and salt, excessive salt, which we all know that this should be avoided because it does harm to your body. And against which raw or parboiled food, green leafy vegetables, grilled or baked instead of fried, fruits and vegetables which are very rich in antioxidants, food with high water content. Body is made up of 70% water, and water is the best elixir for the body to function. And if you have 3 liters of water either in every day, probably you will never have a constipation. Your body will have a lot of health and glow because you have drank enough water. So please keep a water bottle next to whatever you are doing and keep sipping your water. Properly combined and timed food. When I say properly combined and timed food, it has a lot of meaning. Lot of people eat at the wrong timings, and even though they are eating the best of the foods, it is not good for your body. You all must have seen this pyramid, which has a triangle. So at the triangle tip, probably you have to consume minimally, and at the base, whatever is at the base, you have to consume more. So basically, fats and oils and sweet comes on the top, which we all know, which are bad. So occasionally, or consume should be consumed in a small proportions, and cereals and legumes and rice, even pasta for that matter, should be consumed, because basically it is written like this, but basically it is carbs. And we all know that the cheap carbs or complex carbohydrates like jawar, bajri, nachni are better than anything else. Vegetables should be next. Fruits and vegetables should be next in proportion. 5 portions should be vegetables and fruits. Third is milk, yogurt and cheese, which we know that should be in a small quantity. And dairy like fish, beans, eggs and nuts should also be there as a part of everyday meal. And then finally, as I mentioned, fats, oils and sweets should be minimally. So if you remember this pyramid, which is basically carbohydrates, and that's why I hate people telling, I'm on a zero carb diet, I'm on a keto diet. Okay, if you have a need to lose weight in a very short time, probably you can do it for a short time for 3 weeks. Please, for heaven's sake, don't do this keto diet or a diet where you eliminate the carbs completely. You are creating a havoc on your body. Your immune system will not like it. You will not be able to sleep. Your weighing scale can show a very ideal weight, but you will not have a well-being. So my request to you is, yes, the cheap carbs like potato chips and fried things and maida and cakes and pastries, all this should be avoided. But good carbs, if you tell me I had 2 rotis of jawar bajri at each meal, I'll be the happiest person. So please don't remove your carbs completely from your body. You will end up one day in problem. Now, timing of the food, which I was telling you, and even this was not taught to us in our body, in our MBBS course. What is a circadian system or rhythm, body rhythm? There's a Nobel Prize on this work by 3 scientists, and it means that if you follow these cycles, you can avoid any disease. And what are these cycles? So basically, there is a eating cycle, there is a appropriation cycle, which means absorption cycle, and there's an excretion cycle. So the assimilation cycle, basically eating cycle, basically is between 12 noon and 8 p.m. So your eating ideally should be between these 2 timings, 12 and noon and 8 p.m. Now this can move a little bit forward, but we'll see this little later. Your absorption cycle should be from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. That is your absorption cycle. At that time, your body is digesting and absorbing the nutrition or nutrients. That should not be interfered with. Now, suppose if you say how you interfere, suppose if your last meal is at 11 o'clock, a lot of people have meal at 10 and 11. That means what? You have gone and encroached upon the absorption cycle. So the absorption cycle will stop. Body will not absorb and it will store it as a fat. And the elimination cycle, extremely important. Like you clear your system, what the word you use, I have cleared my system or I want to clear my system of toxins, is elimination. So excretion, So excretion cycle starts at 4 a.m. and ends at 12 noon. And that is the most important, because that is the time body is throwing up the toxins. At that time, you should be taking water and water containing foods and should not interfere with this cycle. Now, I'm not saying that you should strictly follow this, that you don't take breakfast, you wait till 12 noon. Everybody's body is different, but lot of people do wrong. I say if you take your breakfast earlier than 12, fine, but don't mingle with a absorption cycle. Don't eat at 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock, and make it a habit. If you go for a party, if you go for a marriage, you are going to eat late, we know. Next day you are going to feel groggy also, that also we know. But next day you can correct your assimilation by not eating your breakfast, taking a lot of water, vegetable juice, so that your body can handle that nonsense which has happened on the previous day, and probably in a day you are back to your original health. So what I'm saying is this circadian system honoring is the key to your health and avoiding disease. If you are not understood this, you can always call me. I'll explain to you well. But or if the time permits in question answer, I can say. But this 12 to 8 eating cycle, 10 to 4 a.m. absorption cycle, and 4 a.m. to 12 noon elimination cycle should be in your mind when you are eating or you are wrongly eating. This will be the key of your health. You will be in optimum health if you honor this. And if you ask me what is the secret of my health, I'm 67 years old. Probably I follow all this what I'm teaching you. The prana and breathing, basically everybody say, oh, I did a pranayama, all that. But you have to be constantly thinking that your diaphragm goes up when you exhale, and your diaphragm should be down when you inhale. So if you are having a bad posture, you just see, you try wherever you are sitting. If you slump, your diaphragm cannot move. But if you are straight, your diaphragm can move with inhalation and exhalation. So basically, you have to attempt to a deep breathing, prana, deep breathing, and also a posture. So third is a posture, right posture. Now, it is very clearly shown that your posture is, if you are standing with a forward head bending, it's a bad posture. If you are standing with a backward head bending, it's a bad posture with the pelvic tilt. But the center portion where your line of gravity is in a very perfect manner is your right posture. So you have to be correcting your posture even while you're sitting and even while you're standing. Mentally, once you make a habit, it is automatic. It does not require any attempt that, I have to do this when I'm talking, then how can I do it? No, it becomes automatic. You correct your posture. The other bad thing is the computer work, table work. So everybody works on a computer, and there are ways to correct your posture. There are ways how you support your hands. There are ways how you support your thighs. So the middle picture of the lady standing, feet and the lower back should be supported. See, her whole thighs are supported on the chair and her back is supported on the chair. And your hands should be supported so that you don't develop tennis, all the deformities and all the problems with your joints and your bad posture. You get up in between, go and stretch yourself, do some neck exercises, and then sit back, check your posture, and then work on the computer. So these small things really help in a long way to avoid backaches. A lot of people who hear, I have a backache. And when you ask their profession and you ask their work style, they are the ones who sit in front of the computer for 8 hours, 10 hours, and they don't do any of these things which can correct their problem. So small things go a long way. Right posture, I'll not go into the detail. You have to have a neck exercises. You have to have very regular neck exercises to prevent the stress in your neck muscles and giving you headaches and a shoulder pain. This shoulder pain is and I have a spondylosis. We keep hearing. And believe me, I have operated 10 hours a day all my life, alternate day. And I don't have spondylosis. So basically you do this works between the two operation, 5 minutes, I will do this exercise and then go for the next, Coming home, before meditation, I do all this exercise and then sit for meditation. So it takes only 5-10 minutes, but it should be incorporated in your lifestyle, and it pays the rewards, or it gives you definite advantage to your health. Sunshine. Now we are talking about vitamin D sufficiency. Even in COVID, everybody is on a vitamin supplement to have optimum vitamin D because no, you are not getting enough. Now it is paradox. In India, the sun is so strong, but we don't have a vitamin enough vitamin in the body. 2-3 reasons. I'll not go into detail, but basically we are covered. Like we never keep ourselves exposed when you walk in the sun. We are fully covered, so the sun rays has a very little chance to go. Second is our diet. Not everybody have eggs. Not everybody has a non-veg. We are mostly vegetarian. So vitamin D coming from the food, especially non-veg food, is also less. And thirdly, we don't exercise. If you exercise, probably you are better vitamin D because of your body can handle it better. So sunshine should be exposed. You should expose yourself for at least half an hour of sunshine. Don't avoid. You can use, if you've got a sun allergy, probably you can use sunscreen, but the rest of the body should get a sunshine. Sleep and massage. I was telling you in the beginning when I was listing the things, you should be sleeping like this baby, basically. You should sleep like a baby, completely relaxed and completely cut off from the world. Difficult to say that everybody has such sleeps. You could be tossing, turning, but see at your sleep pattern, whether you have a coffee, tea after 6 p.m., whether you have an excessive of them, whether you had a basically very late dinner, so now your stomach is churning and it is not allowing you to feel normal. Once the food has passed into the smaller intestine, your stomach is empty and you can sleep like a baby. You are too much television on a social media, which is a cause because your mind is so stimulated that now it is difficult to go to sleep. So please keep your gadgets half an hour before your sleeping time off mode so that you are not connected and your mind is allowed to rest. At that time, you can do the deep breathing. So you can sleep off to a very good sleep. Then you don't have to take a sleeping pills also if you're already taking. Have a shower, a cold shower before sleep. Very, very useful because it calms your nerves and takes away your stress. So have a habit of cold shower and a loose clothes. Dim your lights, dim your gadgets, dim your television, and probably a small short prayer or reviewing your day or gratitude practice will put you in this baby sleep. I can guarantee you. If your timings are not correct because you have not made an effort to sleep properly, then you have to adjust and take small amount of tablets help so that you fall on sleep on time and then it becomes a habit. And basically, if you're at home, don't sleep in the afternoon too much so that your night sleep is delayed. I have seen people telling me that I sleep at 3 o'clock and get up at 10 o'clock, so I have an 8-hour sleep. That 8 hours is not what body wants. Body wants that sleep because it has to function optimally. So getting up at 10 o'clock is not a good idea. You have to get up with the sun, basically. If you remember, you have to get up with the sun. And for that, you go backwards 7-8 hours, and then you count at what time you should be able to go, should be going to sleep, and then you can make adjustment. If you are helpless because you are traveling at that time, but you can always cut down on your working hours. If you are working for your own self, don't give excuses to sit in the office till 8 o'clock, come home at 10 o'clock, eat, and then now watch television and then sleep. That's not a good lifestyle. I wouldn't say that. Massage, I've already explained that it takes away the knots and muscle spasms, muscle tension, knots in your body, gives you a free circulation to your muscles, and your body will be so light and ready to work. Massage is a must, ideally once a week if you're a very stressful person. Otherwise, once in 15 days, a very scientifically done massage should be good. And it really works wonders. It takes away tension, it boosts your immunity, it boosts your mood. So massage, I strongly recommend to anyone who has a stress. Secular meditation, you can learn. There are many ways to learn it. But believe me, all these fly-by-night operators who are running the class of the meditation, please don't go to all those things. Time-tested techniques of meditations are very good. So Hong So is one of them, or So Hum is one of them as a stepping stone. So Hum is I am he. Basically watching your breath going in completely, holding it as long as you can in your lungs and bringing it out, watching you are exhaling. Then not in a hurry to take the breath again, so that in between phase of exhaling and then next inhalation, that is called breathless state. And that is the one which gives you energy. So just inhale, hold as long as you can, exhale. Now don't be in a hurry to take the next breath. So a time between the exhalation and an inhalation, if it is breathless state, that is a time which gives you lot of peace, lot of health. So that's Soham or Hongso. My guru says Hongso. So basically, it's a very simple, very time tested. Any saint, any avatar will teach you this technique of concentration first. So you start off from there. You can do it anytime. You can do it in your car. You can do it in your home. You can do it in your seat. You can, while you're waiting, you can do it because it doesn't require any instrument or doesn't require, yeah, people can watch that you are closed eyes, but that's fine. But that will give you 10 minutes, 15 minutes of boost to your body and immune system and to your mind. So, once you like this practice, probably you will be going deeper to your other techniques of meditation. Now, I don't have to prove enough how meditation works. There's a scientific evidence. On the right wave change right circle, you can see the beta waves, which are in pink and yellow, are disappeared after meditation. You can see only blue is seen. The pink, red and yellow is gone after meditation. That means your mind, your brain activity of cortex is completely subdued. If your mind and brain is rested, definitely your body is boosted. You are constantly thinking about negative thoughts, about useless thoughts, about your work which can be done later, about anything which is a constant bombardment to your body. Remember one thing, and meditation takes away that phase of the brain, and it definitely improves your body, your mind, your well-being and your happiness. So this is enough evidence. This is a huge study which I'm quoting. Now, social skills, which I told you that is very necessary in life. Either you meet at sports, you meet socially, have session of drinks sometimes early, eat sensibly and wind up early and go back home, you will be regenerated, definitely. You are going to feel good. This should not be very often, but yes, it is required, depends on your nature, depends on your work, depends on your social skill. If you are very compassionate, you are helpful, you would like to know what your other friends are doing and you go forward and help them if they are in trouble. So what I'm trying to say is this, it is not a no-no, absolutely required, but you have to know your limits, you have to know the timings, and you should know that you are not going into alcoholism, you're not going, it doesn't become a need that you are in house where you're sitting alone also you need alcohol. These are the watch points, and you should get a warning that I'm getting there and you should avoid. Otherwise you will go into frank alcoholism. So, I'm not a judge to anybody's life. You can be your best judge. You judge what you want in your life and you can carry your life accordingly. But if you want to have know help, yes, you should know where you are leading. Once in a while drinking, 2-3 times in a month is absolutely not at all wrong, according to me. For men, I'm talking. For women also, I'm talking. I normally don't drink. But what I'm trying to say is that if it's your need, you enjoy the session, but don't do it too late. Don't go overboard. Don't get drunk and then, puke and acidity and put your system out of gear, because it is definitely not good. But as long as you enjoy, as long as you have really enjoyed your session and enjoyed your friends, please go ahead. It is absolutely even a booster to your well-being. To conclude, I have already told you what is holistic approach. So the doctor goes, or the person goes to find out why I'm getting these problems of acidity, headaches, why I'm getting this, why I'm getting fat. So basically going back to your habit, digging and analyzing and then correcting that to prevent the disease. I think it is a very scientific and very, very good approach. And basically imbibe the best of all systems of medicine, which I normally do. I believe in naturopathy because the circadian system is naturopathy. I believe in Vata, Pitta and Kapha, which is the basis of Ayurveda. And I have incorporated all that what I taught from all the science of medicine. And I think you should imbibe the best from everything, and not one will teach you everything. Like a lot of people say that I follow Ayurveda, I follow homeopathy. I think please be warned that if that was a case that homeopathy can cure, then allopathy, I mean, it's not possible for homeopathy to cure all the diseases. So don't have a blind faith in all these things that allopathy is bad and that's why I will go to homeopathy. Ayurveda is worse. Nobody who has got Ayurveda degree is practicing Ayurveda. They come and work with the allopathic doctors and then they start prescribing those drugs also because Indian systems are bad. So don't trust homeopathy, Ayurveda to the 100%, but bring a balance. Allopathy will remain the main line of medicine, not because I'm an allopath, but what I'm trying to say is that it's scientific. It is based on a lot of science and research. It is not just come up today. Today, COVID, we are 80% standardized how to treat. But when it started, nobody knew. Nobody knew. Today we are saving lives. So it has research, it has science, it has like-minded people discussing, seeing the results. And I'm an editor of a journal, a peer-reviewed journal. We don't just print any results which is there. We read in between the lines, peer review by 5 people, whether what person says is correct or is nicely studied, and then we publish. So, trust allopathy, but have faith in the other systems also. Don't blindly follow homeopathy. Don't blindly follow Ayurveda. If somebody says that I'll cure you of diabetes, you just follow this Ayurveda treatment, please, for heaven's sake, don't take it just because it is Ayurveda. Probably it can damage your liver completely. So my question is, a request is that the key to a good health is in your own hands. How to lead your life, how to lead your lifestyle. Correct it, enjoy it, earn money, earn health, and be successful. I think I end here so that I can take some questions if there are any. I'm not going to go to the chat box because I'll get distracted. I think somebody is going to read those questions and put it to me so that we can take up their questions. I hope.
Wow, doctor. It was a fantastic session on holistic living, and it's so true that if you the right kind of food and the right lifestyle is going to help us prevent so many
Yes.
of these diseases. So we'll take a few question answers now.
Yeah. And this COVID has taught a lot of people who are staying at home, could not go to work, do some exercise, eat healthy. People have lost 13, 14 kilos also. Because they were eating their meal at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. Now working from home, 7 o'clock, everything closed, it shuts. They eat on time. One doctor who assists me in Elizabeth, he's a Muslim doctor. So after Elizabeth duty, he goes and practices in Baikal. And he reaches home at 11 o'clock. I said, what has happened to you? He melted. He says, nothing, madam, eating on time. And he lost some 12 kilos because he started eating on time. So, this is like a miracle because it is not because I'm saying, it is a science of circadian system. Your body is designed to function in that system. And we have abused, we have misused. And that's why we are suffering, either with the weight or with diabetes or with blood pressure or with heart or whatever we call it. Now, genetics do play a role. I told you, genetics do play a role. If your father, mother, grandfather, you will inherit those. But you can alter those genes. That is what is my fight. My mother is diabetic, my brother is diabetic, but I altered those genes. I knew that I have to fight this with my own self. So possible. It is possible. I'm not boasting. Believe me, I'm here to teach someone or I'm here to share with someone how you can fight these things. And it is in your hand. It is in your hand. It may not be so quick to change, but you can make what is very easy to change for, like timing of the food. I can always say timing of the food is important. Now, some of my patients who are GERD, literally GERD, they're obese, they've got a 80 centimeter girth, and you ask them, what time you eat your meal? 11:30. क्यों? नहीं, मेरा husband नहीं आता है, मेरे बच्चे क्लास में से आते हैं, बाद में मैं खाना पकाना चालू करती हूँ and then मैं खाती हूँ. So these are the lifestyle. I said, तुम्हारा husband आता है तब तक लिए रुकने की जरूरत नहीं है. Suppose every day वो 11 o'clock आते हैं, तो आप अपना खाना खा लो 8 बजे. आपको नहीं सूट करता है 11 बजे खाने का. So what I'm trying to say is that this is some small change you can make it. Timings you can correct. Sleeping time you can correct. 8 hours of sleep is a booster. It repairs your body. During the sleep, your body repairs. So you have to sleep properly. If you're tossing and turning in the bed, find out how deep you are asleep. Only you are the only judge. Did I rested? Can I get up early? Can I just get up and feel like working? These are the questions you have to ask your body. That's all I can say. Now let's take a question. Any questions in the chat box?
Guys, any questions?
You can ask now if you're not put it in the chat box. Now we will not go into the detail of organic and non-organic and get and where you got, because not everybody is capable of spending that kind of money of organic food. We don't even know they say organic, but whether it is genuinely organic. So my question is, even if you wash your vegetables well, clean your vegetables well, store them properly, that's good enough. Don't just get too hooked onto the organic and, all those kinds of things too much. If you just correct your, the 7 factors which I just mentioned, probably your health will be vibrant.
I have a question.
Yes.
How safe is it to get a massage done during COVID? Because
Yes.
it involves a lot of
Good-
touching and
Good question. Good question. See, a lot of societies are not even allowing your regular masseur to come home and allow. But if your regular masseur, whom you know where he stays, how he comes, probably don't have it with the gloves on. Please. It's not the same. A lot of people are wearing the gloves and then starting massage. It's not the same. I think that if you're a regular masseur, if you know his whereabouts, how he comes, probably it's safe. Don't worry too much. Ask him to wear a shield. Ask him to wear a shield and you wear a mask. All sports massages, there are a couple of sports massage centers. One of them is Heal. They are very scientific. So probably there's no harm now at this stage to have a massage. If you have bodily problems, please have. If you have aches, joint pains, please have. If you want to avoid, you can avoid the face, because that can be avoided, because he's touching your eyes and nose areas. Avoid the face. The remaining all can have. Lot of people need it also. Their personality is such that there's so much muscle tension developed in the body, they cannot unwind. They don't exercise and they build up they're prone to injuries also. They will have ankle sprains, they will have falls. So a neglected thing in India, I personally feel. In America, the career practitioner, some of you may have lived in America, the career practitioner is in every lane. And when I was in my fellowship in New York, I was very curious to know what they do, What is this career practitioner? Everybody goes to a career practitioner. So once in Los Angeles, I had an appointment with them. I had my whole body analyzed. And I had a couple of things found out from that career practitioner, and correction did help me. And that was early in 85, 86. So my question to you is that in India, that awareness is not there, that your body posture could be a problem, the way you stand could be a problem, the way you sit could be a problem. Chronically doing that has already caused a damage to your body, and that needs to be corrected. Somehow, I think I would say that once if you have not done it, you should get analyzed by a sports physician. Always nice, get analyzed by a sports physician. I would recommend Reliance HN has an excellent physio department, one of the best. You can, if you have some problems, you can get yourself analyzed there, whether you can be helped or not. A worthwhile thing to do, I would say.
I have one more question.
Yes.
I do a brisk walk at the racecourse every evening, and I don't wear a mask. I walk very fast.
How many people walking there? Because I used to walk.
The moment I come across a group of people, I put my mask on because I have it on my chin.
Fine. Excellent.
But The moment it's off.
No, but once
everyone-
upon a time, when I used to walk race course, there are many people, like everybody is at 3 feet distance. But believe me, even I walk at PDP, I do wear a mask, but suppose somebody is not wearing a mask and they don't talk very loudly on phone or otherwise, and they're just walking, I think it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Don't become a paranoid about many things. Paranoia will also cause a lot of damage to your mind. You are always scared of, me getting a corona, you will have other problems and not corona. So don't be so paranoid. Social distancing, mask, and sanitization. Once you come home from your walk from racecourse line of straight away enter your bathroom.
Yeah.
And have a bath and throw those clothes into sanitization bucket and then put it for wash. If you do this much, I think you are fine. Because see, this is going to stay. This is not going to go in another 1 year's time. The intensity will decrease. Like what it used to be in March, it is not now. What used to be in April, it is not now. So similarly, what is now will not be in March, but it will be there. And we have to live with it, and we have to be aware and taking care about ourselves. So don't become paranoid also. Avoid markets, avoid busy markets, avoid busy places, avoid taxi or Ola, avoid travels where you are likely to be in a flight, avoid. But if you have to go, please go. Don't be so paranoid. Please don't be so paranoid. Because I'm seeing a lot of people are scared. Now, there's no need to become bindas also and just say, kuch nahi hone wala hai. I'm not saying, please don't have that philosophy. But use your discretion, use your mask, proper healthy mask. Sanitize your hands as soon as you come back and have bath. It's fine. Gyms, avoid. Gyms are opening up, probably may open up at gyms if you can avoid, unless they really put everything, all the SOPs, and you are young probably, and you are gymmy, like you cannot work without gym, and then it's a different matter. But I myself go to Anytime Fitness. I will not be going till the whole year is gone, but it's okay. I work out at home, I walk, but I don't go to gym. Gym is another question which is little risky, but otherwise markets, very busy places. But if your mask is on and if you keep a social distance, even if somebody is asymptomatic, you are less likely to. I don't like people talking on phone or loudly talking on phone while walking in the park. They are damaging, they are causing an aerosol and they are risking.
There's one more question, doctor.
That?
It is said that
Sure.
normally it is normally said that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Is it true, as you are saying, that you should not be eating till 12?
If you're, but in that case, your dinner is early, right? Dinner is at 6. Then you have breakfast. No problem.
Okay, so it is basically
9:30.
that timing is important.
Timing is
Having the
important.
gap is important.
Now, in the breakfast, you can have a bowl of fruit. If you're not diabetic, you can have a big bowl of fruit. Now, how does it help? First of all, they are very rich in water, nutrients, fructose. Brain requires fructose to work. Assimilated in 20 minutes. Any fruit is digested in 20 minutes. So water content, 20 minutes digestion, fructose, very light on digestion, doesn't hamper your excretion. So the breakfast can be only fruits, which I do by and large. If my dinner was very early and I'm hungry, I'll just go and have two eggs also. But what I'm trying to say is I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat non-veg, but I do have eggs for a health purpose because otherwise my protein source is not met, and the protein is very important. I have not gone into the diet part of it, but everybody has to have a 60 grams of protein, and no Indian diet can give that 60 grams unless you take eggs and protein shake. And as you age, probably your digestion also is poor. So it's another big plethora of discussion, protein powder and which protein powder and plant-based or animal-based, or is it good or is it bad? Milind Soman doesn't take any protein powder, and Virat Kohli is a vegan, and like I can talk for 2 hours defending everything, but it's individual choices people make. The balanced food, not avoiding any part which God has made on this earth for human to consume, is the best approach. It's the best approach. I will never give up milk and milk products completely. I'll not drink a glass of water, or I never run behind my son. नहीं, a glass of milk पीने का ही है. Ever since his 3 years, milk is stopped. And he has grown as a very, very healthy, handsome boy. So my question is, some wrong concepts of the family. Like a Panju, if you say don't have milk and milk products, he will probably fall flat on the ground. What are you talking? Because lassi and paneer and dahi and doodh, jara and pineka and cold coffee, they are used to this. But you can see their body types also. Na? How, by and large, they are obese. By and large. Because too much milk in the diet. So balance of everything. Don't ignore, don't remove any food things. You know, you see a weekly base and see that did I consume everything? In a day probably you may have left something, but next day you consume that. Samjhe na? So in a week's time you have got everything goodies or good what God has made for us to consume, you will consume. Including a piece of sweet. Every meal I have a sweet. Every meal I have a sweet. And my weight is absolutely within normal limits. Like BMI is normal, weight is normal, fat percentage is slightly high, but muscle mass is normal. So it's not that by eating you're going to go haywire. Eating and balancing, probably it is the key, is that balance basically. And never be too orthorexic also. A lot of people know this, this is orthorexia. You know, you are condemning a food completely which God has intended us to consume. Yes, we know that maida has no fiber. Consuming maida roti every day or maida every day is bad because there is no fiber. Our intestine needs fiber. So either you take a isabgul if you have a maida on that day, but don't have maida every day. A piece of cake is not going to make so much of a difference if you have once in a while. So, you know, once you know this key, you will never be orthorexic. Ye nahi khane ka, wo nahi khane ka, wo nahi khane ka, wo nahi khane ka. Never have that. But timing should be rigid. Because if you just go haywire on that every day, you are going to be haywire. Timing in the sense, generally I'm talking. Nobody can have a fixed time on everyday basis. It can be here, there, a little bit. But if you are in the range, you will not develop a disease. You will never have a weight problem. And coming to the supplements, supplements are required after a certain age. If above 40, you definitely require supplements. For women, calcium, B complex, vitamin D, check karo. If your vitamin D is fine, then don't take it on a regular basis. If it is low, 6 sackets, and then you bring it to optimum, and then you can leave it. Then do after 6-8 months, take the measures. Vitamin D. Vitamin D is extremely important. I've gone into the detail of what is important for prevention of cancer because it is beyond the scope of this talk for 45 minutes. But vitamin D, calcium, and B complex and vitamin C, these are the normal tonics. Any company, good company, you can take it. Amway, need not be Centrum, need not be expensive. If somebody is sending you from America, it's fine. But I prefer Indian medicines for Indian use. And then particular needs of biotin for hair and, you know, if you are having some particular issues, those supplements. But supplements are absolutely required after 40. I don't believe in not having supplements.
One more question, one last question, doctor. Is it advisable to have whey proteins or plant-based proteins?
See, a lot of people have a very wrong notion that protein powders are bad. They have. Now, I can't convince them for anything. If they believe in that and if they're convinced about it, it's fine. But otherwise, you can, as a vegetarian, you can have an issue about originating from plant and originating from the animal. But whey protein is what? When you make a dahi, that thin water which comes on the top is whey. It's whey. So whey protein from plant origin is excellent. There's no harm. But you will, if somebody says that you convert into a non-vegetarian and eat chicken every day or fish every day because your protein requirement is Don't do something which is not your dharma. But suspecting that every protein powder is bad is not it. What we consume is GNC or optimum nutrition, one of the two. I can show the jar, but it's just optimum nutrition, very time tested, very good. Oziva is another brand which is a plant protein. Oziva, you must be seeing the Oziva. It's a plant protein. So if you're plant protein, then you can go for purely plant protein. You know? But take something after 40. Take something. There's no question. Because 60 grams is the minimum if you're 60 kilos of weight. If you're 75 kilos of weight, you require 75 grams. Now, where it is going to come? We say sprouts, yes, sprouts, good, but it also has a carbs. And how much sprouts you can eat? You can eat this much. So, उसमें से carb निकाला तो protein content is less. So, sprout definitely includes, it has a lot of fibers, lot of vitamins. So, sprout is a must. I eat mostly every day. But the point is, it does not always, transfers into protein requirement. It's not completely protein. And difficult to digest. If you're not exercising, if you're Vat Prakruti, you will not be able to digest those kacha. You will have gas, you will have stomach pains because the lining of the pulse is the one which doesn't get digested. You know that. That's why I always like that you have steamed or boiled. Never have a kacha. Never. You will be miserable digesting them. So steamed or boil 1 or 2 whistles in the cooker and then have it with a salt or lemon or whatever. Have that. That's for sure. It's good for vegetarians.
Wow, that was lovely, doctor. The super session.
I don't know, but probably if I have helped you out in correcting in your mind something which you're doing wrong, I think I had done my job.
It was a wonderful session, doctor.
My numbers you can my number you can store. I'm available to you for any questions, any health issues you have, and we can have a consult knowing the lifestyle. Because I think once in a while reflect on your own self and your lifestyle. Probably you will get some points from this talk which is going wrong, and if you correct, you will be the one who will be benefited, not me. So I hope I done some justice to your evening, and thank you very much for inviting me, thinking about me.
No, thank you very much, doctor. It was a pleasure today to listen to you. Can I call upon Mehul, please, for the vote of thanks? Mehul?
Yeah. On behalf of RCBB, a big thank you, Dr. Jyoti Davolkar, or Jyoti Auntie, as I and Sejal fondly call her, for this enlightening talk on lifestyle disease and prevention, a topic which is so relevant in today's day and age. We appreciate you taking time out from your busy schedule and addressing us with something so insightful. Thank you.
Yeah, it's passion. So probably I had my passion with you guys. So I think that if I had to say something, start on the path of meditation somewhere, please.
Is it for me?
No.
General. Okay.
Somewhere, and you will find the difference in your life. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever time you can give, whatever time of the day you can give, you should be able to tell me, yes, it has really helped me to be happy, basically to be happy. Forget about God or forget about going into superconscious. Your happiness level and your serotonin boost, it will be good. So, thank you, folks. Have a lovely evening ahead. And I think we end here.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Tejal, can you please give the secretarial announcements, please? Tejal?
Yeah. The attendance today was 28 logins. The next meetings in October 16th, we have a startup show with a venture capitalist and few entrepreneurs. 23rd, we have the club assembly. And on the 30th, we have a fellowship. Thank you.
Fellowship how? Online?
Online fellowships.
Online fellowship, yes.
Hopefully by that fellowship, it should be of physical one.
30th fellowship is an unhealthy fellowship.
I know.
In your terms.
No.
No, once in a while, everything is fine. Katie.
You can ask Sejal and Mehul. They know me very closely. How I lead my life. It's not that I'm a like strict leke. But see, you have lived that life for 40 years. It becomes your second nature. I can sit with my husband. Yesterday we sat till about 11 o'clock, and he's a coffee drinker. So then I said, "Chalo, I can afford to have a little coffee." करके मैंने पिया आधा cup because he was going away today. So it's not that I don't do once in a while. I always told you once in a while is fine. But next day you correct. In the sense, suppose if you had a dinner, a very lavish, posh dinner previous day, don't be in a hurry to have a solid breakfast. Drink water, drink lemon water, drink coconut water. Give some 2 liters of water to your system to take away that extra acid, and then go for lunch straight. This is called adjustment. That you have to learn. That's it.
We all have had a big session with Mehul and Sejal every now and then. So we'll know where that knowledge comes from.
Yes, you're right, Katie.
Sejal, I must say this, that Sejal is one of my best listener and practitioner.
True.
I have a lot of it, and ask her, she will say there's no point not sharing. She's one of the happier person than what she used to be, healthier person than what she used to be. She's falling less sick. She's taking care of everybody in her house. I think she's a right example to tell that about 10 years she's been following. It's a right example of what slowly you can imbibe. So, they're talking about it. She's a witness to it, so that's why.
Lovely. So thank you very much, Doctor. And
Yes.
the meeting is now adjourned. Guys, before everybody leaves, I just would like to make an announcement that the next meeting is on Saturday. Coming Friday is our meeting on startup, and it's been curated by Manish Choksi, and it's generated a lot of interest. We have around 25 clubs which are co-hosting with us. Also, Inner Wheel Club, also the Rotrack clubs are participating. So please do attend in large numbers. And it should be a nice evening. Yes?
Okay.
Yes. So meeting is now,
Bye-bye, good night.
bye-bye everybody. Meeting is
Bye.
now adjourned.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mulga is a new member.
Who?